Hello everyone, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and in this video, I'm going to talk about why censorship is not an issue of private companies. Now, I'll admit I did just try to wing the video response to Tony over at Palmetto Prepared and his "What would you do with 90 days to prepare" video. But I messed it up at the end. I'm not going to redo it, but go check out his video. I'll be doing a video response, as I think will a couple other people. So go check it out. Anyways, the video today is why companies like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. do not deserve the excuse of being a private company who can censor people. Now, while I do agree that the First Amendment should not apply to a private company who does not want political speech at their business, and that's being applied uniformly across fair lines and fair bounds, I disagree that a company who uses the argument that they are the digital town square, that they are a public platform, can then censor people and still maintain that argument. And this is important because these public platform companies have argued that they are the digital town square. This argument hinges on the idea that you can't sue or bring claims against the town square itself because it's simply the place where people gather to speak. And short of actually illegal speech, all speech is free, including ugly speech, including reprehensible speech. Now, these companies say that they're providing this service freely to anybody who comes, and that protects them from the liability that a regular publisher would have if they published actually illegal speech. For instance, if someone goes onto Facebook and calls for violence, if someone goes on Facebook and harasses people, if they do commit crimes that are actually speech crimes, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube are protected themselves from being charged by the government for facilitating that speech, for receiving it to their servers and publishing it themselves. Whereas a book company, a limited publisher, would be liable for that speech because they published it, they facilitated that speech. So it's wrong for a company that is not liable for speech which they choose, which they facilitate, which they choose to publish. It's wrong for them to limit speech, to become editorializers, to curate what is on their platform, because then they enter the realm of the publisher. They choose what can and cannot be said. And at that level, they are either discriminating or capable of doing it across the board at all levels. Either they are liable for the things that they do not choose to limit, or they do not limit for anything short of legal speech or illegal speech. That's at least my understanding of why the situation is not currently tenable, because you have them banning people who have not made illegal speech, but they're able to maintain the argument that as non-curators, as wholesale publishers of speech, they can't be liable for what slips through. And I disagree with that. So while I myself am not knowingly being censored, although I may unknowingly know that I'm being censored, I stand with people who have been unfairly censored from speech platforms, from payment systems, and from the various different systems that many of us take for granted because they seem to be public services, and yet are still able to use the private company clause to essentially censor speech which they disagree with. That's my take on it. I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds about right to me, and that makes it sound about wrong to me. Hope you're all doing well. Stay tuned for the VR, and everybody stay safe out there.